um, President George and fellow Rotarians. I've really got a pretty good, exciting program here today. What I've always like to find out is people that are passionate about what they're doing, and the people that we've got Gabby Corner and Blair Moody. And if you want to know something about Mount Ashland, here's your chance. Um, I've uh, there's a they have a new lift up there. It's called First. Is it First Act? And it's for the real young kids. Basically, it's a conveyor belt that take the kids up. And there's no more fun than seeing my 2-year-old grandson and my 4-year-old daughter or granddaughter, going down the lift. And when you in this particular year, she'd been skiing for 2 years, and then all of a sudden the light came on, and all of a sudden she don't need the pole, she's on her own. And this is just really exciting time here. So I got handed this great resume for both of these people. They're exciting to hear. What I really want to know, are they boarders or downhillers? And and Blair's a downhiller just like me, and Gabby is a boarder, and she's not goofy footed. She's a right footed person, so that's good. So anyway, I'd like to introduce Blair and Moody to let you know what's going on in the exciting life of Mount Ashland. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. On behalf of the Mount Ashland Board of Directors, all of us, the staff of Mount Ashland, we thank you for having us here to talk a little bit about Mount Ashland. And I also wanted to mention, we will, even though despite we had a very poor season, 17 days, 7 nights this past year, we will be opening come winter this year. We promise you that. So I'm here to talk about some of the history of Mount Ashland. Let's see, let me do this. There we go. I'm going to give you an overview on the history and who we are, our exciting recent improvements, and a little bit on the threats to the ski area. Where's that? I was going to say, okay. Okay. Really, the idea and the development for Mount Ashland really started in the late 50s. Okay. And it was, many of you heard of the Association of ONC Counties, which is the BLM lands on the west side of Cascades up and down the state. Well, there's receipts that come in from timber sales on BLM lands, ONC jurisdictions. The ONC Association got together and said, we need to invest multi-million dollars in establishing road systems for recreation areas in the Cascades and the Siskiyou. So that, with the idea, some others got together and started the Mount Ashland Corporation through stock investments, actually started the ball rolling to get things going. So we opened in 1964, and we built, thanks to Batzer and all his work, Andy, thank you. We built the lodge, and there's a lot of history behind all this. First off, I mentioned the Mount Ashland Corporation. That was the first owners of the mountain. Then it became Southern Oregon College. They actually ran the ski area for a while. Then it became a Grants Pass grocery store individual named by the name of Dick Hicks, who ran the mountain. And after that, it was sold, and we'll go into this later, sold to Harbor Properties out of Seattle, excuse me. And I think before I'm done on the mountain, I'm going to say that I'm going to write into the bylaws, since I take care of them too, that we have board members don't have to get up here and speak. So through the 70s and 90s, we added, thanks to Dick Hicks and his endeavors, we added the Poma lift and 3 other chairs to the mountain, which are Windsor, Gomer, and Sonnet. In 1992, again, as we talked, the Harbor Properties became the owner of the mountain, and then they wanted to move the mountain to the ski facilities, the chairs and what have you, back up to Seattle where they could work on their own established ski areas there. So they wanted to sell the property, the ski lifts, all the facilities to they were for sale, excuse me, and the community got together and raised the money for the $1.7 million purchase. And thanks to the Rotaries of Southern Oregon, you guys raised over $600,000 for that effort. And we really appreciate that. So today, Mount Ashland Association has taken over the, well, actually, I left out another owner of the mountain was the City of Ashland. And that happened right after the lottery funds came to help purchase the mountain. So we've taken over running of the mountain from the city. Okay, down, there we go. And there's a picture of the lodge, which would later become the Karen and Sid DeBoer Lodge. And you can see in the middle of the construction of the Windsor lift, that was in 1978, and also the aerial chairlift. In recent years, the lodge was renovated in 2019, thanks to a generous donation from Karen and Sid DeBoer Foundation. And the first learning carpet, which is really a kind of neat deal. I think you might gain 15 feet in elevation, but kids get on a conveyor and it's completely enclosed, so they're covered. And they ride up this and they get off it and they can learn how to ski down the 15 feet of elevation difference, something like that. And thanks to a very generous, again, the largest donation we've ever received for Mount Ashland was the ability to build the Lithia chairlift, which opened in 2024. Mount Ashland has been known for its steep terrain, and pretty soon here I'll show you another slide that shows you how much that is. This opened up a lot of terrain for beginners to learn how to ski at Mount Ashland, board, sorry. Yeah. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We operate on a special use permit under the Forest Service land, and that lease expires in 2042 with the option to renew it, and I'm sure that will take place. But the association owns all the infrastructure and operates the ski area. We have 15 volunteer board members, and we try hard to get diverse members. It's a little hard in a recreation sport that's yeah, it's hard to get different gender, if I can say it, okay? Not gender, but racial, if that's okay to say. But we also pull from members from Wairika, Grants Pass, and the Rogue Valley here. We do expect all our board members to at least serve on one of the committees. We have the environment and sustainability, facilities, development, governance, and outreach and education. So we do expect our board members to serve on one of these committees or be chair of that committee. Our permission, of which we think we do, we promote and provide healthy alpine adventure and recreation. And this is really good for kids to get away from the cell phone and learn how to enjoy the environment in the winter. It's not bad. And our vision is to be the hub, but I think we are the hub for alpine recreation in Southern Oregon. As you can see on the slide, we have 5 chairlifts. They're a little bit hard to see from where you're sitting. We offer ski and snowboard schools, we rental shops, 2 restaurants, a bar, 44 trails that we have open. And with the percentage of terrain there, you can see we're 52% advanced to expert. That is really good for people who know how to ski, but it's hard for us to be able to train new kids and adults. I started up there and I was 36 years old. But we've enlarged that now thanks to the Lithia lift that Karen and Sid helped us purchase. As I said, we've constructed Lithia chair. We reopening of the Loma and Poma terrain to help beginner skiers. We replaced all the night lighting with LEDs, and a twilight ticket now is that from 3 to 4 to 9, what is that? 3 to 9, okay. 29 tickets, $29 to go up and ski. Widen Dial 2, which was always a choke area coming off the early beginner runs and merging into more of the advanced intermediate skier runs, and that was always a choke point. It made kids nervous. We installed waterless urinals this summer. That helps us save on our water system up there. With the Bumblebee Trail is also another trail that we've opened up. We created a $40 lower lift ticket as for those who are ready to graduate from the Bunny Hills on up to the intermediate areas. In the summer, in the fall, we've endeavored in the past 3 years to expand the use of the mountain facilities up there. So we've gone to year-round recreation, off-season events. We have the Alpine Festival, the drive-in movie nights. This is the only place in Southern Oregon where you can go to drive-in movie at one time. It's still be able to sit down and enjoy in your car a movie. Oktoberfest, haunting on Mount Ashland. This is sold out the last 3 years. People like to come up and get haunted at Mount Ashland. Well, there's all kinds of ghosts up there, really. And I know where most of them are buried. We have 3 trail running events, and we also have downhill bike riding from the starts at the mountain and goes on down into Ashland. Youth Alpine Adventure camps are very important. We have rentals, and of course we have disc golf. The rest of the ski area, I'm gonna turn most of this over, but I just want to say that we've got a couple really, really old lifts. 1962 was 64 was the aerial chair. 1978 was the Windsor chair. That makes them 62 and 48 years old. It's normal that you replace in USA and Canada, lifts are generally replaced in 27 years. They don't last forever. And these 2 lifts are not made anymore. And it's really hard to find parts. And what we do have, and it's also hard, we have an aging employee range that know how to work on these lifts at this point in time, but they're aging out and you just can't get parts, and what you can is extremely expensive. I'm gonna get out of here.
Thank you, Blair. So Blair talked a little bit about aging infrastructure, but there are other threats to community ski areas like ourselves as well. Before I touch on the rest of them, I do really want to quickly touch on ski area versus ski resort. So ski resort is someplace you go, you can hang out there for maybe a week and you have everything that you need. Ski areas are really meant for the community. We, like many, are not community owned, but we are community funded and community supported to be a community asset. So talking about the threats to community ski areas, the first, access to capital. So we don't have the ability to pull expertise and equipment from sister ski areas. Larger corporate ski resorts can do that. We don't have a pool of trained talent to pull from. We have our wonderful Rogue Valley talent, and they are incredible, but that pool is still a lot smaller than a lot of other areas that have, you think of the Salt Lakes, they have 4 different ski areas to pull from, things like that. We also have a limited cash and the ability to fund dream projects. And we'll touch a little bit more about that in a moment. The other one is climate change. So just like last season, winters are getting shorter and a lot more unpredictable. And the lastly is rising costs. We've seen a 129% increase in liability insurance, 129%. So then diving into aging infrastructure a little bit further, because that's really the big one that we're going to talk about today. So as Blair mentioned, aging chairlift is actually the largest threat to ski areas in North America today. They're increasingly costly to maintain. The parts are scarce. The yawns, which is Windsor chairlift, you can see up there, changes the next one. Windsor chairlift is the one on the very bottom left. And then you have riblets, which are, it's a type of the chairlift, and that's aerial chairlift. It's on the very top there. they require a lot more institutional knowledge from lift mechanics that are unfortunately aging out. They're costly to replace, and for us, they require a considerable amount of more effort than the average ski area because of how our capital projects are funded and that we operate on Forest Service permitted land. So then, let's see here. So funding capital projects. You may be wondering why a majority of our projects Mount Ashland has completed are donor funded and not pulled from operational revenue. So Mount Ashland is able to keep our ski area season pass prices and lift ticket prices amongst the lowest on the West Coast, arguably in all of North America. As a community ski area and a nonprofit, it's our goal to keep winter and summer recreation as accessible and affordable as possible, especially winter recreation. We know it's inherently expensive. All the gear you have to buy, the lift tickets, season passes, it adds up. We don't raise our prices to fund capital projects, and we really rely on community support. The revenue that we do make from operations goes directly into paying our employees a livable wage, keeping up with increasing operational and insurance costs, that 129%, and funding smaller ski area updates like paving the Karen and Sid DeBoer Lodge, which we just did this past summer to make our ski area lodge a lot more accessible than it has been in the past. So then talking about the bulk of the presentation, we want to talk about the chairlift replacement project. So we are undertaking a transformative infrastructure project to replace our aging aerial and Windsor chairlifts, which are vital components of our mountains system. These two lifts have carried generations of skiers and riders, and they're safe to ride, but it's time to build a more reliable future for our community and mountain and ensure the next generation can share in the adventure and the learning and the joy that Southern Oregon has had access to for decades. And I'm sure many of you have benefited from over the years. So specifically talking about Windsor chairlift, you'll see these are actually new 3D drawings or 3D visuals of what Windsor will look like. If any of you have been up to our ski area, we have Lithia Lift, which is built by the same company that would build the two new chairlifts. It's Skytrack. Windsor would still have its historic green color, which is great, sticking to that. It'll be in the same alignment. It'll have the same load and unload locations, but it'll be a triple chair instead of a double chair, which is really exciting. And this will be built in one off season. And the plan for that, the construction is set to begin in May of 2027. So that is next May. So that is also our fundraising deadline. Our aerial chair replacement is going to follow the same alignment, but it'll load at our current motor room, which is just below the loading zone of our current chairlift. The unload will be just approximately 25 feet downline from the current unload area. It'll be a triple chair as well. And it'll actually unload in a terminal building. So we're planning to construct aerial chairlift in May of 2028. But the following year, we'll build a summit enclosure that is basically a big cement building that will enclose the whole top unloading area. It'll be amazing for preventing rime ice and wind. It'll be a better experience for our guests and will also be incredible for our wonderful lift mechanics that work really hard up there. So that will likely happen in 2029, the following year. So why now? Why is this critical? Well, routine inspections have shown that a critical component of Windsor chairlift is at the end of its service life and would require 7 figures cost in repairs. It's not speculative. It's not like, oh, we're gonna worry about that later on. It's right now. The chairlift is safe to operate this year, although it has a very limited lifespan remaining. We only operated for 17 days in the 25-26 season. Yikes, I hate saying that. But on a positive note, it did buy us an additional year to be able to utilize Windsor. As Blair mentioned earlier, when we talk about aging infrastructure, the replacement parts are increasingly scarce, the repairs are increasingly expensive, and the longer we wait to replace these lifts, the fewer good options we're going to have. Windsor is the portal to our mountain, as we like to call it, and the loss of Windsor's financial impact would likely exceed about $1 million per year on top of actually repairing Windsor itself. That's an existential problem for a community ski area. This isn't about comfort. It's not about modernization. It's about reliability, and we need to protect the future of our mountain. So why it matters, why investing now in Southern Oregon's local mountain playground will make a difference. So Mount Ashland averages $9 million in economic impact per year. We employ over 250 seasonal staff workers, and we engage more than 1,400 youth, partnering with over 35 schools, and provide $50,000 worth of scholarships for youth to attend our Learn to Ski and Ride programs and our Alpine Adventure camps. Taking that a step further, so I mentioned that 1,400 children through the school and youth group Learn to Ski programs. That was in the 24-25 season. For over 30 years, that program has hosted tens of thousands of children, introducing them to skiing and snowboarding, not just from a physical fitness standpoint, but also learning a new skill. You build self-confidence. Even getting better at a skill, even as an adult, you build self-confidence. It's finding community, many of which you are probably a part of at this point, and it's exploring and connecting with nature. In 2025, Mount Ashland enrolled over 350 students from the Medford School District alone, and that number continues to grow year over year as we welcome schools and students to the world of alpine recreation and continue to grow that program. That doesn't include the hundreds of lift tickets that we sell and the season passes. It doesn't include the kids that are enrolled in our Ski Oregon Ski Education Foundation, that's ski racing, as well as Mount Ashland's Racing Association, the Southern Oregon Snowboard Team. Mount Ashland is an integral part of life in Southern Oregon and Northern California communities. If we don't replace these lifts, hundreds of children would lose access to an asset that has been positively impacting our Rogue Valley community for 62 years. Our ski area enriches the lives of so many. And now more than ever, we need the community's help to raise the funds to support this project. So what can you do? Become an advocate and spread the word. You've learned a lot about our history and where we're at today and where we need to go. If you believe in our mission, you'll talk about us. You'll spread the word on what's going on at Mount Ashland. Be a part of making history. Together, let's ensure that the next generation will have access to Southern Oregon's hub for alpine recreation and find adventure and joy in community and the great outdoors. Thank you all so much for listening.